Hi, welcome to the webinar. I'm so happy that you found your way here. So this webinar today is for you if you're struggling because you can't find a way to let go of anxiety, self-judgment and self-doubt. And I wanted to let you know that if that is you, that entirely isn't your fault. It's just not something we get taught at school or in work. Certainly something I was never taught. If you sometimes lack confidence because you feel like an imposter in your career or your business, today I want to put your fears at rest. So I'm here to show you how you can be confident, productive, happy and successful, even if you feel overwhelmed and burned out. And I'm going to give you some brilliant tools and techniques during the course of this webinar to help you with that. I also want to help those who want to live their purpose and truly achieve their potential without being held back by self-sabotage and limiting beliefs. I'm going to show you how you can build some powerful new habits which will transform your whole life, not just at work and in business. And I want to show you how to develop mental fitness in much the same way as you build your physical fitness. So through commitment, consistency, repetition is how we would build physical fitness, and we can apply that absolutely to mental fitness as well. But I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do this quickly. So in as little as 7 weeks, you can learn the tools and the techniques through some practice and build those habits. So without having to spend years and years and years in pain and soul searching. And this is really the secret of creating your future in the way that you want it to be. So a little bit about who I am. So my name's Alison Wilson and I have my own business as a career and a mental fitness coach. And then I also, as well, on top of that, have a full-time day job as a leadership trainer and coach in the health service. So I do a lot of balancing my full-time job with my business. I'm also a successful career changer. So I changed careers in my late 40s from working in human resources to what I do now. And in my spare time, not that I have loads of it, but in my spare time, I enjoy walking in the countryside. And I also enjoy inspiring other people. So I'm passionate about everything that I do. So not just in my work, but I like to inspire people outside of work as well. And I'm also a cat mom to two beautiful cats, Selfie and Glinda, who you can see there in the photograph. They're sisters, and they're now coming up 15-year-old, although you wouldn't actually think that from the way they're certainly not slowing down anytime soon. And I live in the northeast of England with my husband and my 2 cats. So I wanted to share with you a little bit more as well about my story and see whether any of this resonates with you. So I spent a lot of time in my career and my life getting in my own way and sabotaging my dreams. I was bullied at school, mainly name calling and bitchy stuff, but it affected my confidence for a long time. And I went off to university, and the lack of confidence that I had at the age of 21 actually stopped me from doing a degree that I really wanted to do, which was psychology, when I discovered that part of the course involved doing presentations to groups. So I drifted into a career I didn't really know much about. I ended up working in human resources and spent the next 20 plus years climbing the career ladder, always striving for the next promotion, the next thing, and never really feeling 100% happy. And on the outside, I probably looked like I had it all. I had my own team, my own office, I had money to spend on all of the holidays I wanted. In fact, I know that I looked like I had it all. I remember interviewing a girl for an apprenticeship. She was 16 years old and she was coming for a job as an apprentice administrator in our office. And I asked her where she saw herself in 5 to 10 years' time. And she said, in an office like yours. So in her eyes, I did have what she wanted. I seemed to have it all. But what she didn't know was on the inside, I was dying most of the time. I felt stressed, I felt overwhelmed, I felt unfulfilled, I'd struggle with difficult situations, and I often lacked confidence in what it was I was doing. So I felt really trapped by my career, but the thought of starting at the bottom with something else just filled me with horror, with shame, with dread. But living a life that wasn't aligned with who I was and my values and my strengths eventually did take its toll, and I ended up going off sick with stress and burnout. So I started then on a journey of self discovery and finally found self belief and courage to make the move into what I do now, where I'm a whole lot happier and not stressed anymore. I overcame the limiting beliefs which had been holding me back. It's led me to starting my own business and changing my career. And this has all been really, really great, yet there was still something holding me back. Although I was much more aligned to my purpose and my values, I still did struggle from time to time with focus, making plans, holding myself to plans, self doubts and self judgment kept me from truly fulfilling my potential. And if I'm honest, I was a little bit frustrated because I wanted much more. Wanted to put my whole self into my work and my business and to approach every situation and problem with curiosity and creativity. So over a 7-week period last summer, that's exactly what I did. I came across the Positive Intelligence PQ program, which forms the basis of the mental fitness program that I now run, and everything changed. And as a result, I'm performing better in all areas of my life. I feel calmer, more focused, happier than I've ever been before. And I've taken some really bold steps with my business and also seen some incredible results with the people I work with. So I'm really excited today to be able to share exactly what I've learned with you so that you can feel this way too. So how does this apply to you? You may be a new leader who needs to know how to get confident in leading people and teams and managing conflict because it's not something that you've done before. Or you may be an experienced senior leader who has a successful career, yet you feel like an imposter amongst your peers. And that's really common. I've had lots of senior leaders come to me feeling that way. And you want to know how to thrive even in the most high pressure situations. Or perhaps you're a new business owner struggling with your identity as an entrepreneur and you want to get confident selling your services, putting yourself out there, getting your name known. Or you might be an advanced business owner, but you're struggling with growing and scaling to enable you to take your business to the next level. Or you might be none of those things. You might simply want more peace, happiness, and calm in your life. And mental fitness can help you equally as well. So it applies to everybody. So these are just some testimonials from clients that I've worked with who have been able to overcome imposter syndrome. They have gained more calm and clarity in their life. They've been able to take laser focused action and they've been able to really kind of get out of their own way and to achieve their goals. So I love working with people to help them to do that. And mental fitness is kind of the core of what I do to kind of help people move forward. So moving on then to mental fitness, here's what we're going to cover today. So I've got 3 secrets that I'm going to share with you. And secret 1 is all about how to grow your 3 core mental muscles to help you thrive in challenging times. And we've definitely been through some challenging times in recent years, and we continue to do so with the cost of living crisis and everything else going on in the world. Secret 2 is how to build your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And I'm also going to show you how you can train your mindset in as little as 12 minutes a day so that you can build your mental fitness even if you're telling yourself you've got no time. So what is mental fitness? Definition is your capacity to be able to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And the impact of that is there's 3 main impacts. It impacts on your overall performance, your peace of mind and your wellness and your well-being, and also relationships. And what I've seen with my clients who've been through the mental fitness program is that it not only impacts on relationships in work, it impacts on relationships with family and friends as well. So it really has a massive impact on relationships. So what I really love about positive intelligence and mental fitness is that it brings together all of these different arms of psychology and neuroscience together into one really easy to understand and easy to follow framework. So the mental fitness program and the training that I'm going to take you through today is all based on breakthrough original research by a gentleman called Shazad Chamine, who is a New York Times best-selling author. He wrote a book, Positive Intelligence, and then he's gone on to develop the program. And he's done lots of research and pulled these 4 areas together. So we've got neuroscience, cognitive behavioural psychology, positive psychology, and performance science, all into, as I say, one easy to understand operating system. So the research that Shazad conducted involved hundreds of chief executive officers and their executive teams from organisations across the world. Stanford students, so Shazad is a lecturer at Stanford, so he involved his students in the research. World-class athletes as well, so taking learning from the world of sports science and sports performance. And also 500,000 participants from 50 different countries across the world, so really wide-ranging research. And all of that research was summarised in Shazad's New York Times best-selling book, Positive Intelligence, which has been transformed into 20 languages. So as I've said, what I really love about Shazad's work and the mental fitness program is that it boils down all of the research into 3 simple areas, 3 core muscles that we can develop to develop our mental fitness, much in the same way as we develop our physical fitness. So I really love this and kind of how simple it is. So I'm going to introduce you to the 3 core muscles now, and these are they. So we've got the first one is the saboteur interceptor, and I'm going to go through each of these in more detail. The SAGE is the second one, and then self-command is the third one. So I'm going to teach you today some techniques to be able to intercept your saboteurs, to be able to grow your SAGE muscle, and to have more self-command. So I'm going to introduce you now to the 10 saboteurs and the 10 different ways that we self-sabotage. So these are the saboteur characters. So as I talk through them, just think which ones resonate with you, which ones you recognise in yourself and maybe in others around you. So first of all, we have the judge saboteur. So the judge is a saboteur that we all share. So everybody has the judge, and I am going to talk a little bit more in detail about the judge in a later slide. But the judge, we judge ourselves, we judge others, and we judge circumstances, and we all have that judge character. The other 9 saboteurs we all have to varying degrees, and what usually happens is you'll have 2 or 3 that are your top ones, and the others might be lower down, and this varies from person to person. So I'll just quickly run through them. So we've got the people pleaser first of all. So this is the saboteur that leads us to putting the needs of others maybe before ourselves, full of empathy and full of being helpful, really good qualities to have, but that can be at the detriment to ourselves. So we can end up putting other people's needs before our needs if we've got people pleaser as high up in the our list of saboteurs. Next, we've got the avoider saboteur, so this little character with the bag on their head. So the avoider wants to keep the status quo, keep the peace, likes things to be calm and stable and steady, and does that by avoiding difficult situations, avoiding confrontation, avoiding taking the action that might feel a bit uncomfortable. So what actually happens with all of these saboteurs is the intention of the saboteur in this case is to keep us safe and calm and the status quo, but actually by avoiding situations and avoiding conflict, it can actually lead to more problems down the line. And that's the case with all of the saboteurs, really. If we kind of believe their lies, and they're there to keep us safe. They've evolved as part of the way that our brains have evolved over millions and millions of years. So they're there to keep us safe, but they tell us lies, and actually the opposite of what they're trying to do can happen. So the next one is the controller. So this little character here with the puppet. So this is wanting to be in control of circumstances, other people, thinking that it's better if I do things myself because I know it's going to be done right, not being able to delegate, that kind of thing. So it can be really exhausting. Next, we've got the restless. So this character with all the arms. So this is one of my highest saboteurs in my list of saboteurs. So it's up there with hypervigilant as my two kind of top saboteurs. So this leads me to starting lots of things, thinking, oh, maybe that's not working all of that well. So I'm going to try all that well. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to move on to the next thing, the next shiny object. So I've got a little bit of shiny object syndrome and jump from thing to thing and never actually get anything finished. So kind of a bit of fear of missing out, but then because I jump from thing to thing, I do kind of miss out on things because I've not actually finished things. So that's the restless. Then the next one down here, we've got the victim. So down kind of underneath the pleaser there with the cloud and the lightning. Everything is just down to circumstances. Everything that's going wrong is everybody else's fault. It's nothing to do with me. I can't do anything to control this situation or these circumstances. So feeling very kind of helpless and out of control. The next one along is the hyperachiever. So always kind of striving for the next thing. So I recognised this in myself when I was building my career. I would get to a certain level and then I'd always be focusing on what the next thing was and never kind of celebrating where I was, and always striving to gain the next promotion, gain the next thing along, thinking I'll be happy when I achieve that. And again, can be a really stressful place to be, always striving for that next thing and that next achievement. Next along, we've got the hyper-rational. So this one's actually quite low for me because I'm kind of more of a guided by my emotions than kind of logic. But the hyper-rational, so rational is good, having some without the hyper. So having logic and rational thought is really important in decision making, for example, and in careers and in business. But when it becomes at the detriment of everything else, so thinking that everything is black and white and forgetting there's kind of shades of grey around people, and that people and situations can be messy. So those with a high hyper-rational saboteur can really focus on logic and kind of ignore the people stuff going on. So that can impact on relationships and can make things kind of quite unpleasant for the hyper-rational. Then we've got the hypervigilance. So this is my absolute highest one. And this is one that causes an awful lot of anxiety. So it's the voice that's constantly saying, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if, constantly making plans for every eventuality and scenario, and then kind of missing what's important because I'm too exhausted from dealing with all of these what ifs. So it can give you kind of that sense of dread, that sense of anxiety about situations and things. So a really kind of difficult place to be, kind of wears you out a lot, the hypervigilant saboteur. And then last but not least, we've got the stickler. So this is the perfectionist in us that wants everything to be perfect. So there's a little man there cutting the grass down to 1 inch strands and getting it all perfect. But life isn't perfect. Life isn't like that. So again, can cause a lot of stress and anxiety and heartache, trying to always strive for everything to be perfect in life. So that's the 10 ways that we can sabotage ourselves. So did any of those resonate? Which of those resonated with you the most? Probably some more than others. So kind of have a think about those and where they show up in your life and the impact that those are having. So how we then counteract the saboteurs. So the first thing really is recognizing them. So a big part of this work is initially recognizing that those saboteurs there and the thoughts that we're having are coming from those saboteur voices. And the next thing we can do is then start to look at things from a more sage perspective. So there's five different sage powers. So the first one with the heart at the top is empathize, and that's having empathy with yourself and with others around you as well. Then we've got in the middle, we've got the compass, which is about navigating. So it's the navigate power, and that's really kind of looking at what's important. So thinking about if you were to meet your wiser elder self, what your wiser elder self would say to you about whatever it is that's going on in your life now and what is important to take account of. And I find it quite useful to ask myself what is actually going to be important about a situation, and is this thing I'm worrying about going to be important in a week's time, a month's time, a year's time? Probably not. And what is it that I actually need to focus on? Then we've got the little light bulb is the innovate power. So that's all about creativity and coming up with new ideas. Then over on the right, we've got the rocket. So that's taking action. So taking laser focused action. So rather than, so for example, with the hypervigilant saboteur, rather than focusing on everything that could go wrong, thinking about what's important and then what action can I take to actually put some of my worries and my concerns to bed. Then the very bottom one, last but not least, is the explore power. So that's really getting curious, really useful one in relationships and in conflicts. So getting really curious about maybe what's going on for the other person rather than kind of focusing on ourselves, getting curious about how we might be able to compromise, work together, that kind of thing. So the 5 sage powers, building those up. So noticing the saboteurs, reducing their power and then building up the sage powers is part of building mental muscle. So I said I was going to come back to the judge and talk a little bit more about the judge. So this is a saboteur that we all share, and it shows up in three different ways. So one that probably resonates with a lot of you is that inner judge, the self-critic, the one that tells you you're not good enough, and a lot of people have that. It's really, really common. Again, it's kind of evolved, that voice has evolved for over time to try and keep us safe, because the judge doesn't want us to take risks. It wants us to kind of keep the status quo and keep as we are. So that self-critical voice that tells you can't do things, that's kind of where that's coming from. We also judge other people as well. And I know when I first started doing this work, I thought, no, I'm not judgmental. I don't judge other people. And then when I started doing it, I realised that I do, even if it's judging what somebody on telly is wearing or what they've said or something like that. So we can be very critical of other people as well. And then the final one, which is a little bit more subtle, is judging circumstances. So this shows up when you're thinking, I'll be happy when. So like me going for promotions when I was working in HR, thinking I'll be happy when I get the next promotion, and then still not being happy when I got there. So I'll be happy when I get the next promotion, and so on. So thinking that something in the future is what's going to, when your circumstances change, is what's going to make you happy, and judging the circumstances of where you are now. So that is the third way that the judge shows up. So I mentioned that the saboteurs have evolved over time to keep us safe, and they live really in the oldest part of the brain. So that part of the brain that's the survival, fight, flight, freeze part of the brain. They live in our limbic system in the left-hand side of the brain, and that part of the brain operates really, really fast. So it's kind of a split-second reaction to keep us safe. So that's where they live. So it takes a little bit more to access the sage powers, because they live in a different part of the brain that it isn't so quickly activated. So I am going to share with you a technique to be able to move from saboteur to sage a little bit more quickly. And so the sage powers live in the middle prefrontal cortex of the brain, linked to the empathy circuitry, and live in the right hand side of the brain. So there's a really easy, quick way to recognise when you're being hijacked by the saboteurs. The saboteurs try to motivate you through negative emotion. So whenever you're feeling anxious, you're feeling angry, you're feeling shame, all of those negative emotions are likely caused by one or more of the saboteurs. And it doesn't really matter which of the saboteurs it is. It could be any of them, it could be a combination of them, but it's recognizing that negative emotion and thinking, yeah, that's the saboteur voices that are telling me lies at this point. What the sage does, on the other hand, is motivate you through more positive emotion. So I know which one I would rather be motivated by. Would you rather be motivated by negative emotion or positive emotion? The saboteurs might generate some success. So if you, for example, got the hyperachiever as a top saboteur, you're going to be probably achieving things. So it might generate some success, but they won't generate happiness. The sage, on the other hand, generates your highest success and also, as well, keeps your happiness sustained. So you might be wondering, this is all very well, but aren't negative emotions actually good for you? So in answer to that, I'd ask you a question. Is pain good for you? So if you've got your hand on the hot stove, like this person here, is that good for you? So it might be for a split second to alert you to the fact that you've got your hand on the stove, and you're probably going to end up with some bad burns if you keep your hand there, but you need to take your hand off the hot stove. So it's only good for you for a split second to alert you to the fact that something's wrong. The exact same thing applies with negative emotion. So negative emotion is only helpful for 1 second as an alert signal. Staying in that negative emotion hurts our ability to be able to see clearly, to be able to respond to situations with empathy, curiosity, be creative, or take action that's laser focused. So anytime that you feel negative emotion, you are being hijacked by your saboteurs, and it's not going to be useful for moving forward. The sage, on the other hand, lives in the region of the brain associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, creativity, being able to see the bigger picture, and operates from what's known as the sage perspective. So the sage perspective is that every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. So I'll read that again. Every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. And you might be wondering, how could a really bad situation be turned into a gift and an opportunity? So if I use my own example of how I ended up stressed and burnt out at work, and I ended up going off sick, it felt horrendous at the time. But that led to the gift and the opportunity of me starting on my journey of self-improvement. I also gave up alcohol at the time. I started to look after my health a lot better. And ultimately, I had a career change. And I now do something that I love, and I'm not overwhelmed and stressed anymore. So it felt terrible at the time, but it led on to, there was a gift and an opportunity in that bad situation, and it led on to where I am now. So you might be thinking, yeah, but what about something really, really bad? So if you lose a loved one or something like that, then yeah, there's always going to be circumstances in life where there isn't a gift and an opportunity. But even from bad circumstances, such as losing a child or something like that, there can be opportunities that come from that. So if you have seen in the news about the three dads walking to raise awareness of and teaching and education around suicide prevention in teenagers. So that's one example of where they've turned a really bad situation into something that's going to help others. There's been other famous people in the media who've had terminal illnesses, that kind of thing. So Deborah James, the Bowel Babe, for example, who used the circumstances that she found herself in to be able to promote awareness and to help other people. So yeah, there will be examples where you really can't see the gifts, but generally speaking, most situations can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. So I have a question for you. Which perspective here is true? Is it the saboteur who says that this is bad, or is it the sage who says this is a gift? And the answer to that question is whichever of those two things you believe is what becomes true. So is this resonating with you so far? We've talked about the saboteur, the different saboteurs, the 10 saboteurs, and about how to intercept those saboteurs by recognizing negative emotion. And then we've talked about the sage powers and how they can generate more positive emotion. So is this resonating with you? Do you recognize the saboteurs in yourself? Can you recognize how the sage powers could help you move forward in a more positive way? Okay, so the final part of this jigsaw, the final mental muscle that I'm going to help you to start to develop today is what's known as self-command. And to build self-command, I'm going to invite you to take part in a little practice where we're going to do what's known as some PQ reps. So PQ stands for positivity quotient, which is a measure of the time that you spend in negative emotion versus positive emotion. And if you think about reps in a gym, so if you were building physical muscles, you would go and lift weights and you would do reps of those weights. So what this does, it's a way of building your mental muscle through doing repetitions of 10 seconds. So I've switched my camera off because I'm going to invite you to take part, and I didn't want me to be kind of looking at you whilst you take part in this exercise or think that I'm looking at you. So I've turned my camera off, if you're wondering where I've gone, and I'm just going to invite you to take part in a little 5-minute practice where we're going to practice some of these PQ reps. So I'd invite you to sit comfortably, to have your feet flat on the floor and your hands in your lap. And if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just have a soft gaze, maybe towards a spot on the floor. And start by taking a few deep breaths in and out. And then I would invite you to notice your toes. Maybe give your toes a little wiggle and try to find as many of your toes as you can. Just noticing your toes. Now moving your attention away from your toes and taking the forefinger and thumb of one hand and rubbing your finger against your thumb with such an intensity that you can feel the ridges on your fingertip and your thumb. Just noticing those sensations. And now taking the fingertips of one hand and rubbing against the palm and the fingertips of your other hand, feeling all of the sensations of touch. Maybe noticing the temperature of your hands and the texture. everything that you can feel with your fingertips. And now placing your hands back down in your lap. And notice your breathing now. Notice the rise and fall of your belly. And the temperature of the air as it enters your nostrils, and whether that's different when it leaves your nostrils. And please don't judge yourself if your mind's wandering. That's entirely natural. It's what minds do. And if you notice that's happened, then just bring your focus back to listening to my voice, and then part of the exercise that we're on and focusing on that sensation. So focusing back on your breath. And now I'd invite you to bring your awareness to sounds and listen out for the furthest away sound that you can hear. Noticing its volume and its pitch. And now bringing your focus to the closest sound that you can hear in the room. Or outside if you're outside. And if you haven't noticed already, notice the sound of your breath. And now giving your toes and your fingers a little wiggle. Bringing your attention back into the space you're sitting in. Notice what's around you. Take a few more breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So I hope you enjoyed that and that you're feeling calm and more peaceful and hopefully more laser focused in any actions that you need to take after this webinar. If you've ever done any kind of mindfulness, then you'll have recognised some of those activities that we did there. What I really love about this, and I've had a mindfulness practice for many years, and I used to do maybe 10 minutes on the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, but kind of forget about it for the rest of the day. And the beauty of this is you can do it anywhere. So you can do the thing with the rubbing your fingers together when you're in a meeting, for example. You can do the listening to sounds wherever you are. You can also do visual PQ reps as well. So you can notice things about your surroundings or notice things about an object in front of you and become exquisitely aware of details of maybe a picture or something like that. So it is really that simple and easy to I've certainly found it to incorporate into daily life, and a lot of my clients have found that as well. So it is a really simple operating system. So if you're feeling negative emotions, stop. You're in saboteur mode. And then do some of the PQ reps that we've just done to quieten the saboteurs and to activate your sage. And then assume the sage perspective that every problem can be converted into a gift and an opportunity, and then generate that gift by using the sage powers. So thinking about empathizing about yourself and others, being curious about what's going on, getting creative, what ideas have I got, and taking calm, clear-headed action. I have another question for you. Is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response even in tough challenges? And the answer to that question is yes, but the speed and the depth of the shift depends on mental muscle strength. So it's just like going to the gym and building up your physical muscles. How quickly you can run would depend on, or how big a weight you can lift would depend on your muscle. So the same thing is the case here. It really depends on your mental muscle strength and how much you've developed that. So lasting positive change requires 20% insight. So I've given you some insight today, so you've got some of that insight. But then the other 80% of change really comes from practice, ongoing, consistent practice to build that mental muscle. So what Shazad Chameen recommends is that you do that with some intense initial practice. So the idea is to build in 12 minutes a day for 6 to 8 weeks, and that doesn't have to be all at once. So the 12 minutes a day is really kind of referring to the PQ reps and moving, being able to move from saboteur to sage. So recognizing the saboteurs and then moving to sage and doing the PQ reps. So you can split that through the day. So you could do a few minutes in the morning, some at lunchtime, some in the afternoon, and do it kind of regularly through the day for 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. So let me ask you a question, another question. Are you enjoying the webinar so far? I hope so. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this webinar. Make sure that you write down all the insights and aha moments that have come to you so far. Go back and rewind and have another look, so that make sure you haven't missed anything. So just to summarise what we've covered, the 3 secrets that I've covered during this webinar. The first one is how to grow your 3 core mental muscles to thrive in challenging times. So that's your saboteur interceptor, the sage powers and the sage perspective, and the self-command muscle. And then how to build your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset by moving from saboteur to sage using the self-command. And then finally, how you can practice and train your mindset in as little as 12 minutes a day so that you can build your mental fitness even if you tell yourself you have no time. So I have another question for you. Who here listening would like help in implementing this operating system in their own leadership, business or life? And I'd invite you to keep watching if you do. So I mentioned earlier on that at the very beginning of this work for me, I did a 7-week program, and I'm really pleased that I'm able, as a coach, to be able to offer this program and share it with other people. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 7-week Mental Fitness Kickstart program. So the reason I'm talking about this is I would love to help free you from years of pain and soul searching, so that you don't have to go through the years and years of trying to find something that works, which I went through personally. So what the Mental Fitness program does, it can help you to never feel alone again. It's a group program. It can help you to release anxiety and overwhelm. You would get a much deeper understanding of your saboteurs and how you self-sabotage, gain that 80% mental muscle and practice of gaining the self-command, create confidence and peace. And I have a couple of clients who've gone through the program who say one of the biggest changes for them has been kind of the calmness and the peace that it's brought them, and not having that kind of constant battle in their head about things, and also how much it's boosted their confidence in dealing with the challenges life throws at them, whether that be with colleagues in a workplace and conflict situations, or with family members as well. So the results have been far-reaching with the clients that have been through this program so far, and it really is a blueprint for a long-term transformation. It's not just a quick fix. One of my clients who gave me some feedback said it's so brilliant to have something that isn't just a one-day course, isn't just something that you go away and you learn about and you're all enthusiastic about for one or 2 days or a week, and then it goes on the shelf and you forget about it. It's great to have that kind of constant being able to kind of add to it and keep revisiting and keep practicing, and do that in a safe environment in a group that's really, really supportive. So let me share a little bit more detail about what the 7-week program actually includes. So this is a 7-week foundation program. There are options to carry on with the work afterwards as well, which I'll talk about. But in the 7-week program, the first thing that you get is a weekly focus. So there's weekly videos that are recorded by Shazad, and they land on a Saturday, and it gives you all weekend to dive into the topic for that week. So there's a different topic each week, and the videos give you the theory and the interactive exercises, and that helps to inspire you and energize you for the week ahead. Then this is all within an app. So there's an app that you download where the videos are housed, and as well as the videos, you also get daily app guided practices, and you have access to that for a period of 12 months. And there's 15 minutes a day of guided practice with a different theme each day within the app. It's 15 minutes rather than 12 minutes because there's an introductory video each day. And what that does, it helps you to establish those mental muscles and to build those habits, and start to rewire. It actually rewires your brain, and helps to establish new neural pathways. And Shazad, as part of his research, has done MRI scans, and it has been shown on MRI scans that the neural pathways do change with this regular practice. And the exercises are bite-sized, so they're really quick to do. They're a couple of minutes at a time, and they can fit into your busy schedule, and they're customized depending on the particular ways in which you self-sabotage. There's also as well an interactive PQ gym. So just like you would go to the gym for your physical fitness, there's more opportunities to lift weights and build your self-command muscle through a variety of different guided exercises in the gym. And my clients have commented many times how useful they find that, and how much they love the PQ gym. And it can help you to be more clear-headed and calm. So even if there's loads of great challenge and lots of chaos going on around you, you can go into the PQ gym for just a small amount of time and shift from negative to positive response really quickly. You also, as part of the program, get the first 8 chapters of the Positive Intelligence book in a PDF form, and it's also available, the full book is available as an audio book in the app as well. So you get access to the book. So there's also weekly group coaching sessions and ongoing support through a closed community group on the app with the other people in the program. So there's a weekly group coaching session of around about 45 minutes, which happens on each week of the program. Every week has a theme, and it gives everyone the opportunity to reflect, to celebrate wins, to discuss challenges and ask questions. And then in between sessions, you get support from me as your coach, and the opportunity to share and discuss in the group on the chat on the app. Is sounding good so far? So the Mental Fitness Kickstart program is all about helping you to fundamentally change the way you think about yourself and the world, to give you ways to understand how and why you have doubts, why you judge, why you sabotage yourself, and helping you to put into practice easily implementable techniques to build those 3 core muscles of your mental fitness. It helps you to replace your old beliefs and habits with self-command, confidence, productivity and happiness, and it lays the foundation. So it's a foundation program for long-lasting change. And the next cohort of the Mental Fitness Kickstart program is due to commence on Saturday the 13th of May. So the first videos land on Saturday the 13th of May, and the first coaching session is on Monday the 15th of May in the evening. So I just wanted to share a little bit about how it all works and what is involved in each week of the program. So week 1 would be where you would meet your fellow pod members. So I have pods of up to 6 people. I keep it small and intimate, so it's supportive and you get attention from me. So keeping it small as well, make sure everybody has enough time and airspace and everybody gets the opportunity to contribute if they wish. You will learn more about PQ repping and how it can help you gain mastery over your own mind. Learn how to strengthen your self-command muscle in week 1. In week 2, we take a bit more of a look at the judge saboteur, where it comes from, and the impact on your life and your relationships. In week 3, you look at your accomplice saboteurs. So there's a questionnaire assessment that you can take that gives you what your top saboteurs are. So you do that as part of the program, find out which are your top ones, and then work on those in week 3. Find out your most powerful limiting beliefs and the lies and the damage that they cause, and continue building that self-command to intercept those saboteurs. In week 4, we start to move on to Sage. So discovering the power of the Sage and the reframing of bad things into gifts that I've already mentioned today, and continuing to work on how you can move away from saboteurs to converting things into gifts and using the Sage powers. Week 5, we look at the empathize power in more detail and looking at reconnecting with your childhood self and your Sage essence, and strengthening your mental fitness, strengthening your empathy towards yourself and also towards others. Week 6, you learn to use all 5 of the Sage powers and learn strategies for converting every problem or challenge into a gift and an opportunity, and start to set yourself up for long-term transformation. And then in week 7, you start to look at how to build long-term confidence and peace of mind, how you're going to take this forward, building habits for success and increasing your performance and productivity, and how to create lasting change. So what's the value of all of this? So if you were to go and do the Positive Intelligence course and the app and get the book by itself, the value of that is £1,000 just by itself, with no additional coaching and the extra things. The weekly 45-minute coaching sessions and community support are £770 in value. So the total value of the course, the app, the book and the coaching is £1,777. In addition to that, I'm also going to give you some bonus tools and worksheets. So there's a number of different tools and worksheets that I will give you as part of this program. So there's one around identifying your talents and skills. There's one on smart goal setting. There's a boost your strengths exercise. There's a really useful worksheet to help you stop procrastinating. The Power of No workbook is a really detailed workbook, which a lot of my clients have found really useful because a lot of us have difficulty saying no. So working through that workbook is really helpful. There's a daily success habits tool, and there's an evening and morning routine tool. So the value of all of those on their own is £379. So a question for you: what would the value of this be to you to stop worrying, to reduce your anxiety, to stop feeling overwhelmed all the time, to have more peace and calm in your life, to have better performance, to have better relationships and better well-being? What is the value of that to you? So the value that I've just talked about there of the course and the app and the coaching and the worksheets, the total value I've mentioned there is £2,156. So you're probably wondering, what is the actual investment for the Mental Fitness Kickstart program? So I'm going to share that with you now. So just to recap on the value of the parts of the program comes to a total of £2,156. And I asked you to think about what the value would be of changing your way of thinking, of implementing these habits on an ongoing basis, and to boost your performance, to have better well-being, to feel calmer, more peace and have better relationships. What is the value of that to you? So what I'm offering this for, if you sign up by Sunday the 7th of May, it is a one-off investment of £247, and you can split that into two payments, so there is an instalment plan as well. And if you miss that deadline and you sign up by Friday the 12th of May, then the price goes up to £297, and again you can pay in instalments. So the QR code is there if you want to go over to the page and find out a little bit more, and the booking link is over on that page as well, or you can copy and paste the link, which I'll include below the video as well. So if you think £247, that's actually only £5 a day. 297, it's £6 a day. You probably spend more than that on coping strategies for stress and overwhelm. So maybe Costa coffee. I know I used to be in Costa most days, chocolate bars, supermarket meal deals because you're too overwhelmed to make lunch at home, etc. So the cost of this is really the same as a cup of coffee and maybe a chocolate bar each day. So places, as I've mentioned, are limited on the programme. I only ever have 6 places at any one time. One has actually already been filled, so one of the spaces has gone, so there's 5 spaces left. So make sure you scan the QR code if you're interested, and that you grab a place quickly, because they will, I'm expecting they will go quickly. And also as well, I'm not sure when I'm going to run this again, because obviously we've got the summer break coming up once this 7-week program finishes, so it could be well into the autumn before I actually run the program again, and I'd hate for you to miss out. So I hope you've enjoyed the webinar and are taking some aha moments and some pointers from the webinar today. If you are interested in the Mental Fitness Kickstart program, I'd love to see you on the program. QR code is there to grab your place. If you do want to chat about anything, if you would like a conversation before you make the decision to sign up for the program, then please do get in touch, and I'll leave my contact details below the video so that you can do that, and we can have a chat about things. So it just remains for me to say thank you very much for listening to the end of the webinar. I hope you found it useful. I'd love to see you on the program. If you do have any questions or you want to get in touch, then please do, and I hope to see you. And thank you very much again.